Oh, my gosh. You never know what's going to come out that mouth when we do this segment. What does the Fox say? Okay, Neek, let's get right into it. What does the Fox say? The Cowboys needing to draft a receiver in the first round.
I say hell no. Like, I see their mocks a receiver in a lot of different places, and I understand that's a place of need, but it feels like a luxury for a team that still needs to address their inability to stop the run. There's some things that are fundamental about football, and if there's someone there that can either rush the passer to help out Micah Parsons or plug up the middle to stop the run, I think that's where the Cowboys have to go with a fundamental pick, not with another receiver to pair with CeeDee Lamb.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I disagree with Nick. Look, they need help on defense, but as Hebo likes to remind me, in 2021, Dak Prescott's best season, it was in his prime, Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, 37 touchdown passes. And to me, if you have CeeDee Lamb with Matthew Golden, let's say, you have to be point scoring in the NFC East, deal with Philadelphia and Washington. So job one is to maximize Dak Prescott.
Listen, our Adam Schefter is reporting earlier this morning that the Browns signed Joe Flacco, one-year deal. So what does the Fox say about this signing? What does it mean here, Nick?
It means that the Browns are in a really bad spot. As you can see, Joe Flacco's last game with the Browns was a playoff game where he threw back-to-back pick sixes. So, like, I think the fan base may be a little excited because he put him on a pretty good run, but I don't think that Joe Flacco is the answer there in Cleveland.
What does it say to you, Kev?
This can't be it. This can't be it. And if it is, I feel so bad for everybody involved, including Joe Flacco, because he wasn't very good the last few years, even though he reached those highs in Cleveland. For me, it's still Kirk Cousins or bust. $4 million guaranteed shows me he's not going to be the starter. This is not a huge investment. I wouldn't read too much into this right now.
Yeah, Brad, we just saw this across the room, right? Jameis Winston and add Russell Wilson, and obviously they can still draft another one.
All right. What does the Fox say whether or not Deion's son, is it help or hurting Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah, I think that it's helping Shedeur Sanders at this point. There are a lot of questions that we have about a bunch of different quarterbacks, and those questions normally aren't answered until you get in the league. But for Shedeur, I think we know that he doesn't have a problem with the spotlight. He doesn't have a problem with pressure, and he absolutely doesn't have a problem with confidence. And that's all because Deion is his father, in large part because Deion is his father, and he's been exposed to this for a long time. He's pointed out that he's gone to two separate programs, and the spotlight gets bigger and bigger, and both of those programs got a lot better when he got there. So I think it's hard to think of a way how this hurts him. On top of all of that, his father understands the NFL and has relationships all over the league. So I think that there's nothing wrong with having an expert on your team like Deion Sanders.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your perspective considering being in a front office guy. Does that help or hurt him?
Yeah, Brian, I agree with what Neek said. Here's my only concern. And again, I'm bullish on Shedeur Sanders. The grade of incomplete is when you hit a bump in the road, because part of your job description to be a quarterback in the NFL is mental toughness and resiliency. And I'm not saying that Shedeur doesn't have it, but he has to step away from an iconic dad, and he's going to have to deal with things, 3-game losing streaks, multiple interceptions a game, and still have the trust and confidence in his teammates, something that he's never had to deal with. And again, I'm not saying he can't, but that's something he's really never had to do on his own, and I think that's something teams will have to sort through in the next couple of weeks.
I want you guys to take a look at something here, because executives and scouts, coaches from around the NFL, we're talking to our Jeremy Fowler in this year's draft, and this is what one of them had to say. Quote, talking about Shedeur Sanders. If it was me, I couldn't do that, said the separate AFC executive on taking Sanders in the top 10. Not a great athlete, not big, not strong, undisciplined game, comes with scrutiny. Is he going to be good enough? One comp from an NFC personnel said maybe he's Teddy Bridgewater, a fringe starter who makes good decisions, does some good things, but won't get you over the top, is what he said. Kevin, give me your reaction to this.
I don't like any of it, frankly. And the anonymous AFC executive, we don't know, because he's anonymous, whether he's building one of the AFC's best teams or he's a clown who makes mistakes all the time. So it's hard for me, and I err towards clown, by the way. It's hard for me to gauge this, but I don't like anonymous quotes that are negative. I just think that put your name on it. Mike T and I talked about this earlier. But for me, Teddy Bridgewater would not be a bad comp. Teddy Bridgewater coming into this league was not a fringe starter. I don't know what that NFC personnel guy was talking talking about. He was on the star track. He was on the franchise quarterback track until he got injured. So for me, he's a different type of prospect. He doesn't have the tools that a lot of top 10 quarterbacks have, but he's got accuracy, he's got touch, he's got toughness. He's a top 10 guy for me.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, Brian, I totally agree with Kevin. And as Shannon Sharpe would say, it's bull jive. Like, put your name on it. If you don't like a player, put your name on it. I hate anonymous criticism. This guy's a really good player. Hard stop. He is going to be a good NFL quarterback. I've compared him to Kirk Cousins, who's had a really good career. And look, he may not have elite talent, but what Trevor Lawrence had elite talent coming out. How's that worked out? Anthony Richardson has had bumps in the road. Sometimes we get into this trait discussion that we used to talk about with corners, with quarterbacks. Give me a competent decision maker with a good arm, accuracy, touch, and dependability. That's Shedeur Sanders. He's going to go the first round. And by the way, guys, let's just remember this. The draft is the beginning of the story, not the end. Get to a good organization, get coached well, and have a great career.
An anonymous get-up panelist says it's bull job.
Exactly. Nick, give me your take on that. Was the criticism fair, you think?
I mean, well, since we're channeling our coworkers, I would say that you need to put your fudging name on it, as Dan Orlovsky would say. I think that I do, however, like I appreciate, I understand the need, or at least the desire to have anonymity to get the report out. And honestly, like, it doesn't hurt that bad. Like, I think it's motivation, and I appreciate Jeremy Fowler's annual hater report. Like, I feel like every year around this time of the draft, Jeremy Fowler gets some anonymous GMs to come out and start hating. It gives us something to talk about, and it gives some bulletin board material to all the players. But I suspect that the people who are making actual decisions don't see Shedeur Sanders like that, because it feels kind of outrageous.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. You know, this is a young man who turned around 2 programs, Jackson State, turned around Colorado. Do you think these QB-needing teams are going to regret not going to get Shedeur Sanders?
If you don't have one, absolutely, Brian. Again, the verb is scour. Like, there are some desperate teams that need quarterbacks. And you look at a guy like him, again, is he perfect? No, but there's very few perfect prospects, except for what Kevin's saying about Cam Ward.
That's right.
But in all seriousness, Brian, absolutely they'll regret it, because there's not 32 of these guys on the planet, and he has shown, as you said, turned 2 programs around, consistently played at a high level. His game's not perfect, but that's why we have coaches.
Nick, do you think he will slide? For a long time, we thought he'd be the 3rd pick to the Giants. Do you think he'll slide in this draft?
Yeah, I definitely don't think he's going to be the 3rd pick for the Giants. So if getting out of the top 3 is a slide, I think he'll absolutely slide. I'd be pretty surprised, though, if he gets out of the top 10, whether it's the Saints or someone else trades back up in order to acquire him. So it's not that bad of a slide. I don't imagine that he'll still be around at 21, which I think some people think him going to the Steelers. But I do think that he'll slide to the back end of the top 10.
With the draft a couple of weeks away, you want a winner. Kid's a winner, and if that's what you want at quarterback, I say you go get him.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn ôn tượng. Tượng hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là bát canh. Các bạn, hôm nay tượng của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là rau muống. Bây giờ mình sẽ bắt đầu tô nha. Một tí nha. Tiếp đến là màu xanh.